playoffs for the major is about to start, and I want to talk about some of the highlight players going into the major and do a demo review on some of their better performances heading into the playoff bracket. And today I want to do one on XANTARES from Eternal Fire. Today we'll be looking at one of his better maps from the group stage versus Rotational Pro on Vertigo, and I want to jump right into talking about how I think this is one of the better CT sites on Vertigo that I've ever seen, and we'll get right into that right after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a site where you can trade skins that you already have to get some skins that you might want. That way you can hop into your next game with some fresh new skins. All you have to do is log into the site through Steam, put in the skins that you don't want anymore, grab the skins that you do, and then click trade. Trades happen almost immediately, and any balance that you don't use in the trade will roll over for a trade that you might do in the future. Right now you can get a free $5 if you were to use code Austin on the site, and if you were to use my code you would get an additional 5% on top of the 30% deposit bonus. So let's say if you deposit $100, that means you would get $135 if you use my code to deposit. So make sure you guys check out SkinsMonkey, and let's get right back into the video. So this is the game that Eternal Fire won in order to qualify for the playoff stage, and today I want to highlight XANTARES because he had a 1.9 rating across this map, and to be honest I think it's an example of a masterclass on Vertigo CT side. And I want to kind of start this demo review by talking about how I'm not going to watch the pistol because they didn't do anything good in this pistol. It's very boring. Nobody comes to XANTARES. I'm just going to skip it. Now of course I have pre-watched the demo, so I kind of know a little bit ahead of time on what I want to talk about and what I don't. And one of the things I do want to talk about is this force buy round. It's a very smart idea from Mr. IGL on Eternal Fire, which is of course Major. And the idea is you have 4 MP9s, all right? So you've bought up 4 MP9s, and what you're going to do is you're going to have 2 come from this way and 2 come from side hall. And whenever the T's come to take ramp control, you're going to all peek at the same time and overwhelm them. And it actually works very, very well in this round, but unfortunately they do lose in the end, and I'll show you exactly how it goes. So they wait for an audio cue, whatever happens, maybe it's a molly, a smoke, and as soon as they hear that, they go all together and they peek. So any second now, there's the nade, and now here they go. They're going to flood them in the middle of the execute. XANTARES steps out, he finds one, gets a second, and they have a real chance to win this, but Mir wins the hero 1v2. I mean, 2 HP at the end of that, but it doesn't really matter that Eternal Fire don't close out the force buy because look at the money on VP. This is very underrated at the casual level. You don't understand that having no money... Well, I mean, even as the winning team, it doesn't matter if you win the round. If you have no money the next round, you're in trouble. I mean, look, you can't even get like what, 1, 2 AKs, maybe if you're lucky, and that's going to be a big deal for future rounds, not for this round. So the timeout gets called because VP want to kind of assess the situation. They're like, you know, our money is pretty rough. James thinking, what can we do? Because there's a rare instance in tier 1 play where if a team doesn't win the anti-eco with, you know, a lot of people alive, like 1 alive right here, there's a world where the CT side will reforce in because they know their money's bad, so they basically have another chance to break their money and get steamrolling. Now of course Eternal Fire decide against going for this second force buy, and instead they go for a full eco. You know, it's a better choice. It's on the major stage. They're already down a map in this series, so it makes sense, right? So they go for this triple boost in towards side hall. We'll highlight Mr. XANTARES again. I missed it, I'm sorry. Let me go show you this triple boost. I've actually never seen it before. So they go stand over here in the corner. I've seen it at this event, but I haven't seen it before this event, which is they do the triple boost to see people walking up side hall. It's really, really strong. I don't know how Flip spots him and got lucky with that molly, but either way, it's still a full eco. Normally I don't cover full ecos in demo reviews because they're just kind of boring, and typically nothing good happens. But in this round, XANTARES gets a little silly with the dualies here, and he's going to be spamming through the smokes. It's actually a really good way to play on Vertigo because the dualies are really good at spamming. They have so many bullets, and if you dink somebody through the smoke with the dualies, it does a lot of damage. Now Flit overheats, and he doesn't even realize that by the time he dies, the rest of his teammates are dead from the flank. Major gets 3 kills in all of that chaos that XANTARES is making, and they win a full eco. Which is insane because now look at the money. Look, the guys on Eternal Fire have like $6,000, and the guys on VP are shattered. They have nothing, and they were just winning a second ago. So now, what do? They drop a couple hero AKs over it, nothing crazy. They don't have a lot to work with, and XANTARES is farming. Now, getting on to the main entree of this demo review, which is the main course, I should say, is talking about how XANTARES plays on his CT side A-hold. Now, what they like to do is they like to fight the ramp. This utility set that you just saw XANTARES throw, the entire point is to take bottom ramp. It smokes deep, mollies the left side, and makes it super easy to take bottom control here. And the reason that this is so important is because when you have this control, you know that they're not coming A until they retake this room, which means you can basically only have one person A by the time he gets info, whether he dies, gets a kill, they have so long to rotate back over to A, and A is also a retake site to begin with, that it basically makes it so you could play 3 people, 4 people, B or mid, right? And this is really strong. So let's go ahead and go up. And now, because again we have bottom A, XANTARES is able to rotate over to the B site in time to throw these flashes, and also in time to step out before the smokes and get 2 insane kills. By the way, these are like, wow, like XANTARES is very sharp. But yes, all of this ramp control stuff allows XANTARES to be in the right position at the right time. And of course, they end up just closing this round. It's a classic VP fashion. James just saves the AK. Going into the next round, what do we see? We see this flash. Now, this flash I would like to highlight because it is a very important flash to throw, and now more than ever. With the vertigo spawn changes, the T's can get up the ramp extremely, well, super fast. And this flash is necessary in order to fight the ramp. Because if you don't throw this flash, for those of you guys who don't know, if you don't throw this flash, you cannot peek ramp like XANTARES does. This flash, what it does is it lands down here under the sandbags, and it won't blind if you're swinging, it won't blind if you're crane, but anybody that's coming up the ramp will be getting blinded by it. Now, it also blinds oppers that go for that super common crane pick right here, and it also blinds people, of course, that are holding towards side hall, which would allow your opper to peek side hall. All this is to say that this flash is really important, because if anybody wants to come up the ramp, they're gonna be blind. Anyway, so we just saw this lineup XANTARES is going to throw. This time it's for an HE. Last round it was for the smoke that he threw, but this time it's for the HE. Really nice idea. And of course he gets dropped a second HE to blow the smoke after. Really good ramp control protocols in my opinion. Now they get the info that ramp is for the most part clear. Wakadia smokes it off, and in the meantime, again, since we have ramp, XANTARES is allowed to rotate. Now, because he's over here, he can cover towards mid, and you know, it's basically just a really good position to be in. So with that being said, let's fast forward a little bit to where VP walk back up the ramp. Wakadia spots him out, and so XANTARES will rotate back in. It's a pretty boring round because we're playing against an eco, but still positionally they're giving VP no chance. The Molotov as well that lands on top. I mean, look at this. This is just like another expert tier way to play this map. You don't even give them a chance, even though they don't even have much. You don't want them to get up here because this is where the T's want to be. They want to take control of here. They want to get up the ramp because that way they have places to hide and they have places to fight you from, and they want to deny that as much as they can. And of course, this is allowing, again, XANTARES to rotate back to B, because if they have the info that A is clear, it doesn't matter whatever happens, because the weaker site on this map is always going to be B. And I'll talk about this because XANTARES does this a lot. You can sometimes, whenever you put a lot of pressure at A, you can rotate to B or mid. And the reason is because even if they're about to execute, it doesn't matter because A site is so easy to retake. The B site, on the other hand, not so much. So you would rather have 3B if you have, you know, at least a little ramp info, because by the time the exec comes in, you'll be able to come back in and you'll have plenty of time to retake. It's no big deal. So a lot of pro teams will play this way, especially with the new spawns, which, by the way, those of you who don't know, the new spawns are really fast. It lets you take ramp control a lot more often. With the new spawns, A executes are more common than ever, so it's easier to bolster the B defense because by the time A hits actually come through, you can just do a really easy retake and you're going to be saving a utility for it. Anyway, so that's why they're going to be doing this so often. It looks weird, like why is XANTARES leaving A? They're coming A. No, it doesn't matter because retakes are so easy. So, and anyway, the hit comes in, XANTARES comes back in, and he's just, again, these are all really favorable fights for the CTs. Like the T's, like, I don't know if you've ever played Vertigo, but coming up A site with no smokes or even with smokes is so hard because the CTs, they just spam over and over and over, and you just, yeah, it's really hard. So very well played for the boys. Let's go to the next round. So we see more of the same. XANTARES gets dropped the AK. Of course he does. It's XANTARES at the end of the day. Like this is he's him. He's going to start by throwing this flash, and because, by the way, I'd like this to be an important note, because he knows James can't have an op this round. How could they know that? How on earth could they know that, Austin? Well, because the money situation, like I talked about, the way that they won these rounds means that the chances of them having an op is very slim. Now they could. I mean, if, like, let's just say all of the money were to go back to, you know, we sell everything. How much money do we have? We probably have enough to get a glass cannon. But do we want to use a glass cannon on T side? Probably not. I mean, even James probably doesn't want to do that. He's probably not going to make one of his riflers have no armor so he can have an op. I mean, I've seen crazier things happen, but probably not. The point being, we know that they don't have an op. And if you don't have an op, what's the one thing that you're afraid of as an A player? the op at bottom ramp. And if there isn't one, you could just go for these aggressive peaks, which is why, because Eternal Fire know that there's no op, you can see, I don't know what's going on. You can see that XANTARES' shoulder is going to come up here and he's going to flash the ramp like we talked about, and then he's going to swing. He's not afraid of anything. And so Mir's fast side haul play gets completely shut down because XANTARES is in the middle of the ramp. And there's nobody there to stop them. Now, of course, another thing that's worth highlighting is that the bottom yellow smoke is getting thrown, so Wicadia can actually come down here and play these angles, and also it helps them fight for the ramp control. Now, again, this is the same concept that we talked about before, where once we have the ramp control, we can rotate off. I'm not going to over-explain that to death in the review, but you get it now. So they rotate back, and another important note is that because XANTARES is low, he actually switches op with Woxic. Now, people have asked me before on my streams, why do people do this? Why does the low player get the op? And the point is because if you ever get into an aim fight with somebody where you guys are both spraying at each other, it's pretty common that if you're playing a rifler, you're going to hit him for like 50 or 60 or, you know, whatever. But if you're low, you're probably not going to hit him at all. And it's probably better for the rifler to have that fight than the opera, because operas just need 1 pixel to shoot, or like an instant frame to shoot. It's just easier this way. So because of that, the role will switch. Now, I'm sure both of these players are very comfortable with who does what, and so Woxic can kind of fill the gap of what XANTARES normally would be doing, or at least make it look like XANTARES is still here. And in the meantime, XANTARES can play the op like how you play the op, which I have an op demo review coming up for you guys very, very soon. Right? It's going to be with Monacy, so if you're excited to see that, we'll talk about the op and how the role plays, because I don't think I've actually done a demo review on an opera before. So we're going to see this A execute come in, and the entire concept with the opera here on the retake is he's going to throw the utility for them to retake, and then once that happens, he's going to hold lines. So he might jump headshot and hold side haul and make sure nobody can come up, or he might jump headshot and hold the ramp while people push side haul, right? Either way, he's not going in. This is a big mistake that a lot of newer players make, is the opera doesn't need to go in on the retake. He just needs to help his teammates progress. And I think XANTARES does a really good job in this round, where he comes out, he's going to let the teammates take the space, and once they do, he's like holding flank. Okay, now he's going to jump headshot and he's holding side haul. This is exactly what I talked about, right? Where now all of his riflers are allowed to focus on ramp because they know they can't die to side haul. Because if somebody peeks, XANTARES ops him, right? So they can mostly fight the ramp. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the retake's going to go their way, and XANTARES will do his best Jame impression and he will be saving. All that's to say, pretty straightforward round for Virtus Pro. It's just an A execute in the 4v4, and it works. Starting off with another round here, XANTARES throws the flash. Again, that flash is, I cannot overstate how important that flash is. So if you play A on Vertigo, please throw that flash. If you don't, you're actually trolling. Now, this is an important thing, where XANTARES starts sandbags this round, and he does get double naded. Now, the reason he starts sandbags is because they haven't done this yet on their CT site. Hold on, I have to get unflashed because I'm blind in the demo viewer. This is fantastic. Hold on 1 second. So, what did we just see there? We saw them fight. Oh, dear God, there's so much stuff on the radar. Okay, here we go. So we saw them fight towards ramp, and XANTARES threw a molly right here. Why? Well, you might think that it makes sense. Oh, well, they're not coming up. It's more than them not coming up. We don't care about that. What we care about is the fact that on ramp, you want to get to the sandbags here because it gives you places to peek and unpeek from. The problem is that when this is mollied and you can't hide behind the sandbags, what cover do you have on ramp? Well, seriously, I'm asking you, because look, I mean, I've accidentally tabbed out. Classic CS2 demo viewer moment. Okay. When this is Molotov right here, where can you stand? You can't stand here because it's mollied, so you have to back up. And if you back up, I have no cover here, and these fights are very, very hard for us. So when XANTARES throws this Molotov, what can happen is he can get a flash from a teammate, and he can swing the ramp, and everybody's in the open, like Flit is now, and hopefully blind. So because of that Molotov, the Virtus Pro squad needs to back off the ramp, which allows them to contest ramp. And you see that this Molotov actually is so good, it gets thrown again. Look at the sandbags Molotov. They know XANTARES was there, and this Molotov is now effectively wasted because look, what can you do? You have no cover. Like I said, you can't go anywhere. You're in the open if you play back here, and if you're in the open, you wouldn't want to stand here, right? So now that Molotov is effectively wasted because by the time this Molotov fades on VP's side, this Molotov will be faded as well, so we could go back sandbags. But more importantly than that, it just lets us have the control. Now, VP have found out that B is clear, and they decided to gamble stack towards A on Eternal Fire side. I don't hate this decision. It's just the way CS is played these days. They picked wrong, and so therefore they lose. They save, and they keep their money good. Now, I know this is boring CS for everybody to watch. Saving in 4v5s is boring, but we already talked about how hard it is to retake the B site. If they go in, they're effectively going into their immediate deaths, and at the major, you don't want to play like that. Next round is a gun round, so we're going to see this flash thrown again. XANTARES is holding for somebody to jump towards bottom yellow. Now, this is the round where actually he gets blinded. Now, because he gets blinded, what he thinks is going on, and I'll tell you a little bit because I'm also an A player, he thinks, well, why would they throw that? They throw this flash right here to blind anybody that's playing where XANTARES is playing, so that way they could scale up the ramp, right? And take control, molly sandbags, and whatnot. You see this every Vertigo game. So his immediate reaction was to pull out the nade, to bounce the nade off of the crane above him. Now, I know this because he doesn't end up doing it, but I know this because I play the spot. You bounce the nade right here. So he gets blinded. He pulls the nade out because he's going to bounce it off the crane. Boom. And then it's going to come down here and it's going to blow up on this part of the ramp, which will do a lot of damage. But since he doesn't hear any footsteps, he ends up deciding to not throw that. And then he gets a little comfortable. He's like, he's playing this off and goes, I don't think they're coming A. And I think he eventually realizes that with that B exchange going on, the 1-for-1 at B, I think he ends up realizing that there's a pretty good chance he's needed elsewhere. So he's going to rotate off of the A site again because they have info. This is how CS at the highest level is played, by the way. What's their info? The same info that they would have if they would have peaked ramp, right? Their info is, because that flash was thrown and they heard nothing, it's probably just one guy. And because it's just one guy, that guy is probably playing passive at the bottom of the ramp, which is, again, the same reason why we can rotate off once we have ramp, because we know it's going to take time for them to come up. All this is to say it's an educated guess that they have the info that ramp is clear, which allows XANTARES to rotate off like he would if they actually did know the ramp was clear. Because CS at the highest level is pretty dank, and people make educated guesses a lot, and most of the time those educated guesses are right. Either way, so XANTARES is able to play mid. He actually gets close to the wall to do the infamous XANTARES peek if he jiggles somebody, but Flit hits the shot instead, and that's the end of XANTARES' round. But it's not the end of the round for Eternal Fire, because they end up converting this round regardless. But this is an XANTARES review, not an Eternal Fire review. So, Major, 4K, easy peasy. Now, here we go again, another round. We're going to see, hold on, I think this is actually a special round. One of those that I have written down in my notebook. Yes. So, now, because XANTARES has a feeling that since last round, this is called conditioning, okay? Last round, what happened? Well, VP threw that fast flash, right? And they did nothing with it. So this round, XANTARES thinks, well, they must have did that because the next round they want to throw that flash, and they want me to think that it means nothing, but they're actually going to come this round, right? This is how, again, CS at the highest level works, right? So he thinks that that's what they're going to do. So this round, instead of opening with the flash, he opens with the molly, because he, again, remember, if they want to run up ramp, that molly is going to put them in the open, which will allow them to fight. And you can see that this is the game plan for Eternal Fire this round. Look at the positions. Wakadia is walking through the side hall smoke. They have the Opera towards sandbags. They're posted up to basically, once this molly gives the sound cue that maybe somebody's there, they're going to be able to peek and catch everybody in the open again like before. But that doesn't end up happening, and instead Mir walks up side hall, gets, you know, the kill onto Wakadia, and now things are a little crazy. XANTARES goes for that spam on the common angle and ends up having to back up. Woxic gets spotted. They know he's spotted. He even scopes the sound cues given. Now, this is trouble. This is a spot that you don't want to end up in if you're an A player. What's happened here is that, let me get rid of all the util. I think I found a workaround by playing, yes, I figured it out. So the workaround here is, the workaround is, what we have is Woxic will hold the side hall, and XANTARES will pick an off angle and hold this side, right? And if they need the backup, which it's here, if they need the backup, they'll be able to peek off of them and, you know, kind of help XANTARES fight this area of the map while Woxic holds the side hall, right? Pretty solid Vertigo theory. They've completely rotated off a B. I can't say that I would have done this on my team. That's the difference between my team and a pro level team. But either way, they get in the setup. XANTARES drops the nade on them, does a little spam. You know, he's not hiding the fact that they're here because he wants them to try to get comfortable enough to walk up into Woxic, right? Because he wants them to get opt. Now the A hit is coming in any second. Woxic needs to get posted on the side hall angle, which will allow XANTARES to peek. Now this is something that I thought was cool. That's why I said this was a special round. So you saw XANTARES play this angle earlier. Why? Well, this angle is an off angle, and anybody coming up ramp will most likely not expect them. But what you also won't expect is that when you peek this angle, I get to head height here. When you peek this angle, you're not expecting to see Calyx and XANTARES are basically on top of each other. Now they're doing this on purpose. They're going to peek together here any second. Now I'm not showing you from XANTARES' POV. I want you to see from their POV when they get double peeked here. So they're waiting for any sign here, and they're going to peek together. Look, they're even synced up in the jiggles basically, to where you're getting peeked from 2 levels at the same time. What can you do? You can't kill both of them. It's not possible, which gives them a really good fight. So look, there they go. The double peek is in. They don't see anything. Now Calyx can't continue, but XANTARES will go and kind of probe. Spots 1, and now he's going to back up into the same setup. So the next person who comes up here is going to fight 2 people. Now that's going to make Virtus.pro a little scared, and they need to kind of respect that stack, at least for a second. And while they're respecting it, it gives them time to reposition, which is all to say XANTARES gets a free kill in the 4v4, which equalizes, and Woxic still has side haul. So they're looking pretty strong. And because XANTARES just got a kill and they just saw Calyx, they actually probably have lost track of Woxic. They probably lost track because in their mind, there's 2 people A and they just saw 2. They heard the op scope, but the op could be watching mid. I don't know. I don't know if he's here anymore. So because of that, since they just saw both of them on the site, XANTARES is aware of this, and he's going to push into side haul off of this timing. And XANTARES, of course, is not expected here. Catches Norbert, catches Jame off the shot, and he's going to continue pushing. There's nothing you could do. He's got a 4K looking for the ace, but unfortunately the ace gets stolen. But this is a fantastic round. This is a round so good that I want to add it to my playbook. I mean, think about it. You have the headshot angle. The initial, like, stage 1, I want to fight the ramp molly with them, like, being able to peek, but then they don't because they lose their guy, so they back up. And then when they back up, Woxic gets side haul. The rotate comes in. Now we're doubled up on top here, headshot, so we can fight. And oh my god, it's just beautiful. One of my favorite rounds of Vertigo that I've ever watched. It's such a smart idea. With all that being said, forces out a timeout from Virtus.pro. And, well, we go into the next round. Another half buy. Remember, the guys on Eternal Fire are pretty aware of the economy situation on the other team. So, what happens this round? Wait. Why is XANTARES side haul? Well, let's rewind it, because something went wrong. Why? XANTARES has been playing ramp every round. Why is he side haul? Because Wicadia has the best spawn. And when you have the best spawn, sometimes what you do is you do what I just showed you before, which is, we'll watch, you know, Wicadia's POV on the radar. He's going to come up, he's going to throw this flash, just like before. And because you want to have that good spawn, it's now, again, more important than ever that you have a good spawn. The side hall smoke gets thrown, so XANTARES nades, and a molly, and it's just pretty much a shutdown. Nobody gets up ramp. Wicadia gets to sandbags. It's looking pretty safe. Now Woxic is holding utility for them. He just mollies. He throws that important molly, again, that we just talked about. Remember why we talked about it. And they clear the ramp. They have the info. In the meantime, the B site gets lost, so we need to rotate. Woxic and XANTARES are both in elevator at the same time because they're both rotating off the info that they got. And because of all of this, XANTARES is in time yet again. And again, it's just versus pistols. I say again a lot in demo reviews, but it's just versus pistols. There's not a lot going on here. Pretty much just positional dominance. XANTARES steps out from quad, and well, we get Jame time again. I love the CT side that Eternal Fire played this game. So we start the round here, and again, we know there's no op. We know there's not, and Eternal Fire know there's not. So what do we see? Remember, XANTARES theory, no op ramp means I peek. So he goes and he peeks right away. Gets the 1 kill and gets traded, but it doesn't even matter because look, now they can't know this on Eternal Fire, and I'm not saying that they do, but look at the grenades that he kills. He kills a smoke, a molly, and a flash. Like, those are all very important. It's actually okay to get the 4v4 here, even though it looks like XANTARES throws his life away. It doesn't actually matter because the 4v4 with no utility, well, with 1 smoke getting removed, and now they only have 3. Again, they don't know that, but the idea in theory works. Like, they understand that they're hurting them. They don't know how bad they're hurting them, but they know that they're hurting their chances of winning the round. It just makes the round a lot harder. And even though XANTARES is dead, he had a really big impact on that. What in the NA nade is that? Anyway, on to the next round. We're waiting for XANTARES to respawn. That was crazy. All right. Final CT round. This round is actually kind of this is a, what would you call this? You would call this a gimmick round. So what's happening? I'll tell you what's happening, and it's actually pretty insane. So Woxic is getting the most insane run boost I've ever seen. Run boosted to peek towards ramp on a fast timing. Because of that, XANTARES doesn't actually need to be A because, well, I mean, Woxic's going for a pick. If he's here and he sees nothing, he's going to get the info. Basically, Woxic is going to he's getting a kill. So because of that, XANTARES has actually kind of flipped spots here with everybody. This is a funny round because now XANTARES is playing in close mid. Now, if you've been paying close attention to the Eternal Fire's entire team, they're actually not really playing like this. So because of the fast A stuff, XANTARES plays this off angle close mid because he's pretty sure that since nobody's done this on his team, they're not going to be ready for it. And so they step out, and even though he does clear him, it's XANTARES. He gets his 2, and that's the round. I mean, there's nothing you could do. They've been completely crippled. He spots 2. The game plan for VP has been exposed, that there was 4 mid, so it's already over before it starts. A very good round from Eternal Fire. And by the way, they do actually make it close VP here, but of course the Eternal Fire boys come out on top with a beautiful retake at the end, and yeah, there you have it. Going into T side, XANTARES has not showed any signs of stopping. Let's go ahead and bring up the scoreboard. It was a 15 kill half. Those are really good. Basically the equivalent of a 20 bomb in CS:GO. And well, it's not over yet. So we're gonna do the classic A pistol. I don't like to cover pistols, but I think that again this is a really good one where we do the late A swing, and VP have a really good setup to counter this. But what we're seeing is this is really important for your pugs, you in particular. What you can learn from this on rounds where you go majority A, 4 or 5, somebody needs to hold side haul. So, well, if we rewind this is a big learning point for people. And by the way, to everybody in the comments, it's like, Austin, why do you always over-explain everything? I already know. Yeah, I know you know, but there's thousands of people that watch this that don't know. So be quiet. Shh. Everybody's learning. School is in session, okay? So what's happening is, you see, he is focusing while everybody else is going up ramp as 4. He is focusing on side haul. He's calling this out, or the IGL is like, XANTARES, focus side haul. You hold our side haul. And the idea is, because they know that side haul is very likely that they're going to peak, it allows the majority of people to take the fights while one person can worry about the one person wide angle. And so XANTARES will be able to basically take these fights on his own and create, some sort of wall from getting flanked, as well as he can pinch if he needs to. It's basically a really good idea because it lets the majority of people go and take the fights on everybody's site. And if, we get into a point where the side haul guy is stuck, then XANTARES steps out and kills him. It didn't end up going that way, but, the idea is still pretty solid. We'll go on to the next round. We're waiting for Mr. XANTARES. By the way, can I just say, it's very nice that XANTARES is actually able to, step it back up. I like seeing XANTARES play at the highest level again. Okay, this round we get the AK, for Mr. XANTARES. They're gonna go for an B contact. And they're gonna molly danger, boost him up. Now this is just solid vertigo theory. They know they're playing against an eco, so they gotta molly out all the corners. They get boosted up. He wants to take these fights, and it's important to note that while you have the best gun on your team, some of you guys will be running around trying to kill people because you have an AK. But what XANTARES does is he holds lines, so he's standing as far back as he can. He's holding this, and why? Why is that? Because he knows that pistols like 5.7s or pistols like P250s, USPs, whatever, or even Deagles, to be completely honest with you, MP9s as well, just to mention, he knows that their win condition is to be close to you. So he's using his ranged weapon to hold the super far angles so that his team can do everything that they need to do, with the other guns they have, the MAC-10s, the Galils. Basically, he's just like watching over them, kind of like how an Opper will do in rounds. Like, think of an overpass T side where the Opper holds long while everybody walks up because he's holding the long range angle while everybody gets closer. He's basically just keeping everybody at arm's length. He's like the bodyguard, like, stay away from my players. I'm holding the, you get it. But yeah, it's just important to note that that's, what they're doing. They're playing as safe as they can. They don't know the buy they're up against. They don't know if Virtus Pro is buying. They don't know if they're full save. So what we see is a very clean round. Beautiful. They're set up for success here, and because of that, what do we have? We want to go for some ramp control. Now we get this. This is something that Virtus Pro didn't do. So they're throwing this Molotov on Eternal Fire, and they're also smoking side haul. Why? This smoke right here. Why is that? because they want to make it uncomfortable for them. They want to make the ramp hold not that comfortable. So this molly comes in, the lurk, wait, did they throw the lurk smoke? I don't remember. Hold on, actually, I might be misremembering the round that this one is. No, they didn't. So the entire point is that they want to be able to make it look like they could be up side hall. There's not, like, they don't have info. James does not have this info. And because this area is mollied, there's no cover, right? So because what could happen is you could have somebody that stands here and kind of just waits a little bit, or somebody who stands, you know, back here, and basically mollying this just stops this swing and jump up if there's a lurk smoke down. There isn't a lurk smoke. I'm just telling you the reason they throw the molly. I don't know why they do it this round. I think it's, I don't want to say a waste, but I think it's a waste. So let's rewind now that I covered that point, and let's look at it again. XANTARES holds. He knows he's not playing an opera, so he doesn't care holding the single. Goes for the spam. Doesn't see anything. Now he's going to line up this molly. I don't know how he lines this up, so you could do your best to replay this. And this Molotov is for 51. Now 51 molly is right here. I still don't know why they call this area 51. It makes no sense to me. But the idea is, since they can't see into side hall right away, they want somebody to, you know, to make sure that nobody's in this corner, and they're just taking it. So good Molotov for XANTARES. Now they're creeping up. They want to do this A execute. Why an A execute? Does that, like, oh, it's so obvious. An A execute on Vertigo is like throwing A smokes on Mirage. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Look at the guns we have on our side. 2 MAC-10s, like a little 2 AKs. Like, if we win this round, we win the game, basically, right? And we know we can get a bomb down most of the rounds on this map. We know we can, because it's Vertigo A site. Of course we can. So XANTARES throws this nade, and he's going to follow it up with a second nade drop to his teammate, which is, by the way, is pretty funny. And then he throws the Molotov. What does the Molotov do? It forces anybody off of this angle right here, so that way he could take side hull, creep up, and take fights. And they're just pretty much applying pressure. He finds the first. Unfortunately, he gets traded, because yeah, that's how Vertigo A site works. It's just how it is. Yeah, and that's the round. All the boys kind of got killed creeping up. They had a good idea. They wanted to get the bonus round working. It kind of falls flat on its face. Going on to the next round. Not much else to say. I like the round from XANTARES. I like the util. Nothing you can really do. This round's an eco. XANTARES goes for his best eagle shots, but if I remember correctly, I don't think he gets one. And now he tries. I'm pretty sure he doesn't get one, though. Maybe he does. I'm doubting myself now. Boosted up on the wire boost. By the way, for those of you guys who don't know how to do the wire boost, you don't stand on the high part. Oh my god, he did get one. Okay, yeah, just make sure you don't mess up the wire boost. Yes, I know boosting is buggy in this game. It'll be fixed, hopefully, by the major. Anyway, it's just an eco. It doesn't get out of hand. It's a nice shot from Mr. Torres. So Eternal Fire are going to win out, and how are they going to do that? They're going to throw this lurk smoke like I talked about. Why? What does this lurk smoke do? So let me tell you. So I know that the other team was throwing this, Virtus Pro was throwing this, but it basically stops that Molotov that we were talking about, as well as breaks sight lines. So if they try to do what XANTARES did, which was to peek like this to fight, they're not seeing anything. And you get close, the flashes pop anywhere here or here, and anybody that's out here will be in the open and they'll die. So the lurk smoke basically lets you get up rim. It makes you be able to throw these lets you be able to throw the mollies. And of course, the molly can't land where the lurk smoke is, so it basically just makes it easy. So you would think, why don't teams throw this every round? Well, they do, but they don't use it every round. So you're just seeing an example of them using it. All right, back to full speed. We're going to creep up the ramp here. And XANTARES isn't worried because they just smoked on the other side here, so he knows he can walk right through. Drops that nade that he's been dropping. Maybe that's an anti-strat nade. I don't know. I've never really seen it before. I know where it lands. It lands right here to get somebody like jiggling the corner, but I've not seen teams throw it before. Creeping up side hall, same idea. This must be his role on the team. You know, like you assign roles on a team. XANTARES, you're always responsible for side haul on the A hits because you just are. You're going to molly, you're going to drop that nade, you're going to take this area. That makes our A hits a lot easier. Must be his role. Throws that molly. I think he's going to go through. He spams. He thinks it's probably clear because the Molotov, of course, is down. You know, there's no way of him knowing that. He's not going to walk through the smoke. It's the major. Of course, he's not going to walk through that. Hit comes in. Really good flash, by the way, to flash off the upper elevator. And they're just gonna start working picks here. Not a lot of options in a round like this. You know, you gotta make do with what you have. 4v4. It's everybody's at A. So the way that these rounds get out of hand is either a wallbang kill comes in, or somebody overpeaks something, or the execute is just good. But they have one smoke, so let's see how it goes. XANTARES is gonna creep up here. He throws a left side smoke, and the crossfire at side hall is looking sharp. But XANTARES got past the opper, so it's pretty much. Yeah. Unlucky way for the 4v4 to crumble. Easy. And to be honest with you, this is a really hard clutch for Norbert to win anyway, but XANTARES is going to use that smoke to get away, and pretty much just wins the round off of that. Again, Norbert didn't really have much of a chance there, but it's just another good round from XANTARES. He's just playing his role. The thing about this T-side is that I didn't really think that anything crazy happened on T-side. I was more focused on the CT domination that we had. But again, we got a force buy, doesn't work out. XANTARES tries to walk through the smoke, and XANTARES is going to go up the ramp here, goes for something fast. They haven't done this yet. They basically just want to set the tone, like we're better than you, because it's more important than closing this map out. It's also setting the precedent going into the third map, which was, you know, played after this on Inferno. You want them to feel demoralized, you want to give them nothing, so they reset, walk back up the ramp, simple A execute comes in, and pretty much it's a wrap from here. XANTARES is going for all these spams because he just knows that basically if anyone's going to be playing in these angles, he's going to be hitting them for quite a bit. He's spamming side haul because, again, you know, he knows what they're doing. He's an A player himself. They want to hold on to that map control as much as they can. He buys enough time for Wicadia to walk behind. There's not a lot to report here. I could overanalyze all of this and be like, well, this is why this isn't. But to be honest, they're just playing Counter-Strike at this point. BP doesn't have a lot to work with. Eternal Fire is just trying to make the rounds work. And that's the game. So regardless, that's going to be a 1.9 performance from XANTARES, a CT side masterclass. T side was kind of just whatever, pretty average, but CT side, there's a lot you can learn from. The entire point is I want to cover players heading into the playoffs of the major. They were a standout in the group stage, people to keep your eye on, and why you should keep your eye on them. So there you have it. That's the map for XANTARES. If you enjoyed the review, look out for another one tomorrow. It'll be on either Jim Fat from Mouse Sports or JL from Navi. I'm not sure which one I want to do yet, so I'll see you guys there. Much love as always, and thank you guys if you watched the entire thing. I'd appreciate it if you subbed. If you learned something, or if you have any questions, ask it in the comments below. I will respond to any questions. If you thought I said something that was wrong, if you thought maybe you don't understand why I said something, maybe you think I was wrong about something, let me know. We'll have a discussion about it, and that's it. Thank you guys. Much love.